Hi, I'm Mark and this is Let's Vibe, the channel all about crystals and our feelings. So, today is the first day of October. Obviously we are officially in the fall season. We had the autumn equinox, just over a week ago. And tomorrow we've been in that eclipse corridor since the full moon eclipse. I believe that was in Pisces, if I remember correctly. And now we're ending it with a new moon solar eclipse in Libra tomorrow. And this is an annular eclipse, meaning it doesn't fully block out the sun. There's gonna be like a ring of fire around the moon. And it's interesting because it's happening over the Pacific, over the east and southeast Pacific region. So most of the world is not going to be able to see this eclipse, but it's pretty cool because I'm in Hawaii, and Hawaii is one location in the Pacific that will be able to view a partial eclipse. We won't see the full eclipse, but we should be able to see a partial eclipse tomorrow morning. And then it's also visible across some other South Pacific islands. I read that a full eclipse is visible on Easter Island, which is also part of Polynesia, just like Hawaii. And then some people in South America, like in Argentina, will also be able to see part of it. So, I was thinking about Libra, a stone for Libra, and I came across blue Chalcedony. So this piece right here is actually blue moss Chalcedony. I think you can kind of see the mossy parts within it. Might be hard to see, but it's translucent, but yeah, there's like these cloudy spots within this piece. So Chalcedony, I also have another piece of blue Chalcedony, and this piece is called botryoidal Chalcedony, and it's botryoidal because it has these little bubbles on it. It's hard to see on this piece. It's not especially bubbly or rounded, but there are raised little, like, kind of like bubbles on this piece here. But it's definitely more of a rough piece. This hasn't been polished or anything. So when it's bubbly like that, it's called botryoidal. So these are both blue Chalcedony, but they do have slightly different vibrations. I'd say that this blue moss Chalcedony has kind of a stronger, faster vibration. Chalcedony is a cleansing kind of stone. When I hold or meditate with blue Chalcedony, it feels like a cleansing within the energy fields, especially in the upper chakras, the higher chakras, like the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye. It's very cleansing of heavier energies. But what connects this stone with the energies of Libra is the fact that Chalcedony, and this is any color, it doesn't have to be blue. There are also white and pink, and I believe there's red and gray Chalcedonies. But Chalcedony is great for balancing the mind, the heart, and body and spirit. And that's where it ties in with Libra, because Libra is all about balance. And Chalcedony is great at helping to balance the different parts of ourselves, balancing our minds with our hearts, our bodies with our spirits. And that place of balance is a very powerful kind of place. I was mentioning that in my last video about the autumn equinox, which is a time of balance. And being in that place of balance is very powerful. It gives you access to all parts of yourselves and allows you to move and do things in a balanced, clear manner. You're able, from a balanced place, you're able to see things more clearly, there's more stability, there's more security. Blue Chalcedony is great for, it's got a strong mental energy about it. And this stone is good for mental flexibility and being able to think in different ways, think along different patterns, changing how we think. And, that requires flexibility within the mind. And likewise, this stone is also great for our speech and our ability to speak and express ourselves in dynamic ways, in more flexible ways. And this stone really injects the energy of love into our communication with others. This stone is definitely a stone that fosters the energy of love, specifically in communication and in connecting with other people. This is a great stone for cultivating group harmony and solidarity, and bringing that love energy into a group. So this Chalcedony is very much about harmony, balance, clear communication, clear thought, and involving the heart and the energy of love within that. Chalcedony is great for uplifting the spirits, uplifting your mood. It's got a joyful kind of energy about it, a fun-loving kind of energy. And whenever I pick up this stone, there's always a subtle energy of excitement, optimism. It's definitely a very optimistic kind of energy. And yeah, it helps you just open that heart and connect with other people from the heart. And to communicate from the heart. And I remember when I first got this stone, especially this blue moss chalcedony, I kind of thought it was a little bit almost too much for me, like the energy was almost moving too quickly, or just maybe was too high for me at the time. Like, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Chalcedony because it just felt like I could only take so much of it and then I had to put it down. Now though, it's been a number of years now since I've had both of these stones, and I'm definitely feeling more of that upliftment, that joyful kind of energy. I'm definitely feeling it more within the heart, and that energy of love. And so I think it's just taken me some time it's taken me a lot of time to open my heart chakra, and I think doing that along with working on the other chakras like the throat and third eye, I think that's helped me to better connect with this crystal. And Chalcedony is a form of quartz. It's a form of microcrystalline quartz, much like agate. And each color does have its own specific nuances. I'd say the pink version definitely is a little bit more about love and the heart chakra. And the blue version is more about the mind and communication. And what I felt like talking about in this video, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if it really ties in with Chalcedony, but it's just been on my mind, and it was something that I felt like I could share on this channel. One of my recent revelations that I've had in the last week or so had to do with the concept of doing. And I had this experience a few nights ago, sometime last week, and I was coming home from a friend's place, and it was late at night, and I was going to bed, and as I was going to sleep, I was feeling this very deep emotion of sort of like frustration or maybe even anguish. And it was really deep down. It definitely wasn't like on the surface. I wasn't fully feeling those emotions, but I was sensing the presence of those emotions way deep down. And so I took a minute to look into it and ask myself about it. And what came up and what I was seeing was myself desperately wanting to do something. And this was in the context of doing something for my purpose, or doing something in the context of my work, my purpose, my calling. And it was like this deep part of me, perhaps an inner child part of me, was desperately wanting to do something out of this feeling of worthlessness. And I could recognize that there was a feeling of worthlessness deep down, and even deeper than the desire to do something. It was this feeling, that desire was coming from a feeling of, if I don't do something, or if I don't have something to do, then I can't prove my worth. And that definitely struck a chord within me. And I could definitely easily recognize that as a very old and very deep belief that I've had since childhood. This feeling or this belief that if I do something, if I can do something, quote, productive or good or helpful or useful, then I'll prove to everyone how useful I am and how worthy I am of anything, everything, love, admiration, respect, a feeling of worthiness. It was all hinged on what I could do, because growing up, I very much grew up feeling and being told by the people around me either through their words or their actions, that who I was wasn't enough. Who I am or who I was as a person was not enough. That I needed, and I felt like, well, if I'm not enough, then certainly what I do, I'll find something to do to show that I'm enough, to prove that I'm worthy of love and connection and, just all of the basic things that people need and desire. And so there was that part of me was active all of a sudden, or it's probably been active this whole time, but all of a sudden I was noticing it and feeling it. And I was kind of taken aback by how intense that feeling was, how intense that desperation was of trying to find something to do to prove my worthiness. And in this sense, it wasn't so much about proving myself to other people, although that is part of it. This was also proving myself to God, proving myself to Spirit. I need something to do to prove that I'm worthy of the things that I desire, my manifestations, the life that I'm trying to create. I need to do something to prove that I'm useful, that I'm worthy. And I really just had to sit with that, because I know, and I've learned in recent years, and especially this year, that sometimes Spirit guides us to sit back and wait and rest and not do something productive. And it feels so unnatural, because I'd say most of us grow up or have grown up in families and in communities and in a greater society that is obsessed with doing and is obsessed with production. It's not hard to come across teachings either within families or from the church telling us that our worth comes from our work, that's where our worthiness stems from, that's where our usefulness comes from, is what work are we doing, what are we creating, what are we producing, because that's the only measure. We're taught that that's the only measure of our value, our worthiness as people. And so the idea of not doing something, the idea of resting and sitting back feels bad. It feels maybe even dangerous or risky or wrong. It goes against everything we've been taught to believe. But in recent months, I've really had to get very serious about not doing things. As in, not doing things to try to force something to happen, or not doing things to try to make my manifestations come to me, or learning to not do things out of the feeling of fear and anxiety, learning to not do things simply because I'm worried about money, or I'm worried about what someone else might think or say to me. So many different reasons, so many different things that were pushing me to do and to do more and more. And I could see that my doing was not pushing things forward. It wasn't making things happen in the way that I was hoping or wanting. And I've really come to a place now where I feel like, okay, I'm ready to feel the fear and the anxiety that comes with resting and not doing things, not trying to produce something in an effort to make everything better. And of course, there are many negative connotations that we have attached to not doing, like laziness. We think that, well, if you're not producing something, well, then you must be lazy, or you must be unmotivated, you must be uninspired, you don't have the drive or the desire, and it's none of those things. It's not about that at all. When it comes to energy and the spiritual realm and the energetics that we live within, it really runs along opposite ideas. It's not about the physical action, it's about the energetic. It's about the energy. And oftentimes physical action can create an energy of resistance, particularly when you're being asked to not do anything, when you're being asked to rest. If you choose instead to act, that can create resistance. Because the spiritual realm just doesn't operate along the rules and ideas of the 3D realm. So that's just something that was on my mind, that I felt like sharing. It's really easy to get caught up in the habit of just doing and doing and doing, especially if that doing is being fueled by a deeper experience of unworthiness. And at a certain point, we have to stop and look at that unworthiness. We have to look at that and feel those emotions and sit with it and realize that there is no amount of personal worth and value that comes from something we do or something we produce. These things that we do not speak to our worth and value as people, as human beings, as souls. And that can be really difficult because it kind of brings us back to square one in a sense, where it's like, okay, well, what do I derive value from what do I derive value from then if I'm not hinging my value and worth on my actions and my work? And that leads us into discovering inherent value and worth that resides within us, that we're born with. So I just thought that was interesting because I'd never seen it in that light. I'd known for a long time that I did hold a lot of old childhood beliefs about unworthiness and usefulness, but I'd never seen it so clearly, you know, the emotions of it and where it was stemming from and what was driving that impulse to continue doing things. So yeah, I've definitely been, I feel like I've been guided towards being in my divine feminine energy, which is the energy of rest and reception and openness, versus the divine masculine, which is more about taking action. And talking about it, I do feel like, you know, that can tie in with Chalcedony and the energies of Libra, because what I'm talking about basically is balance. I'm talking about a balance between action and rest, pushing forward and sitting back and being open to receive. We need a balance in that, and Libra energy certainly is about that kind of balance, not just a balance of body and mind and heart, but a balance of action and rest. So with that being said, I did pick out a song for Blue Chalcedony, and the song that I've picked out is Kill 'Em With Kindness by Selena Gomez. I'm not a huge Selena Gomez fan, but I did come across that song, and I felt like that song fits Blue Chalcedony quite well. It's basically about choosing kindness versus lashing out or attacking someone, choosing to be kind even to people who are lashing out at you, and the power that has, because love truly does have an incredible power, even in the face of the absence of love. And so Blue Chalcedony is all about that, all about connecting with other people in the spirit, in the energy of love and kindness, and speaking in kindness, speaking in love. So I will include a link in the description box below to Kill 'Em With Kindness by Selena Gomez. If you're interested in a personal tarot reading or a distance Reiki session, I've got my email address also in the description box. And I, of course, am grateful for any and all donations to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. I've got my Venmo and PayPal in the description box as well. Please leave a comment or question down below. And once again, thank you so much for vibing with me.